Well, good evening. It's Tuesdays. That means it's horror. What could be more horror than a Tuesday afternoon? We're going to read some Darren Shan. This one's Slaughter, the continuation of it. I'm going to start with a chapter called The Laughing Stock. It was just a movie monster, Dervish says. No, it was real. It killed Emmett. We're still in the alleyway. Blood's being washed away and people are chattering about the big scene with the demon. I grabbed Dervish as soon as I could move, told him what I thought. He thinks differently. Grubs, come on. I said it was going to be realistic. I know what I saw, I retort, voice rising. That was a demon, like Lord Loss. It killed Emmett. Ginny looks at me oddly. Billy is gawping openly. Dervish smiles crookedly at them, takes a hold of my elbow and marches me out of earshot. Are you insane? He hisses as we turn a corner. We're on a film set. That was a guy in a costume. A very convincing costume, but just don't tell me what you thought that, that you thought that wasn't real, I moan. You didn't feel it in your gut. The same thing you feel when we face Lord Loss. The magic in the air. Dervish glares at me, starts to say something, stops, expression softening. I've been a fool. I thought you'd got over the Lord Loss incident, but I guess you haven't. Of course I haven't got over it, I snort. You don't get over demons murdering your parents and sister. I've dealt with it, moved on. This isn't delayed shock. I know what I saw. That was a real bloody demon. You're hysterical, Dervish says. No, I snarl. Look at me. Look into my eyes. I'm not being a big kid. That was a demon. Nobody can mimic the look and movements, the aura of a real demon. I don't care how many special effects artists worked on it. There's some things that can't be replicated by anybody ever. Grubs. Dervish can't think of anything else to add. Where's Emmett? I challenge him. If he was acting, why didn't he come out when David yelled, cut? They took him away to wash off the blood, Dervish says. I shake my head. I bet you're wrong. I bet we can't find him. Dervish sighs impatiently. Okay, let's go look for Emmett. But, he raises a finger, when we find him and you see that he's unharmed, I want you to accept it. I don't want you saying that's not really Emmett, that's a changeling, or nonsense like that, okay? Fine, I smile bitterly. Grumbling sourly, Dervish leads me away in search of Emmett Egypt, even though I know in my heart the only place we're going to find him now is amidst the bones scattered shreds of skin of some dirty demon's den. Emmett is not in any of the trailers. Nobody's seen him. I shoot Dervish a meaningful look, but he waves it away and goes looking for Davida. She's still in the alley, talking with a technician. We wait for her to finish. Then Dervish nudges forward and asks if she knows where Emmett went. Says we want to congratulate him on his performance. Of course, Davida cries. Hell, I want to as well. I plain forgot about him. That was amazing. I loved the final touch, the scream for help. It worked perfectly. No need for a second take. He'll be getting all the blood cleaned off, so... No, I interrupt. We checked. He isn't in makeup. Oh, then I guess. Hey, Judah, where's Emmett got to? A tall, thin man without eyebrows stepped forward. Judah Sewell, the first assistant, director, and David's closest confidant. They've worked together on our last 4 films. He's a quiet sort, keeps in the background, makes sure everything's running smoothly, tries to head off problems before they bother Davida. There's been a flare-up, Judah says softly. Perhaps we should speak about it in private. What are you talking about? David growls. What happened? Nora, Emmett's mother, ran into Trump Cuneyard after shooting, Judah says. They had a huge argument. Trump said some nasty things. He upset her. Nora grabbed Emmett, demanded a car, collected their belongings, and Judah shrugs. They left, David barks. Are you mad? Nobody leaves until shooting finishes. It's in their contract. Get them back. I can't, Judah says. When Nora calms down, maybe we can convince her to return. But she has no choice, David insists. She signed the contract. They have to stay here for the duration. You're absolutely correct, Judith says patiently, but she went anyway. You can withhold Emmett's payment and maybe force them back that way, but for the time being, he shrugs. I told you, I mutter, glancing up at Dervish. Then I turn and walk off, not wanting to waste any of my time on ridiculous excuses. Emmett's dead, slaughtered by a demon, and if his mum's missing, that means she was probably killed too. Time for Grubs Grady to make an ultra-quick exit from Slawter. You can't just walk off, Dervish argues as I pack my bag. Watch me. I turn to Billy, who was standing by his bed, blinking like a startled owl. You're coming too. I'm not leaving you to end up like Emmett. It looks bad, especially as there's no sign of Emmett. Dervish says, but we need to make sure. Judy could have been telling the truth. Emmett's mother... Bull, I snort. There's no argument with Trump, Cuneyart. Judy made up that story. Emmett was killed by a demon. His mum's dead too, I guess. Judah must be working for the demon, since he lied to cover up the truth. And I doubt he's the only one. Wait a minute, Billy splutters. You believe that was a real demon? You think Emmett was really killed? Are you mad? Maybe. I laugh shortly. But if I am, I'm going to be mad far, far away from Slaughter, and you're coming with me. I won't leave you behind. I look hard at Dervish. I won't. Okay, Dervish sighs. I won't keep you here against your will, but you're overreacting. Until we know for sure, we should. There's a knock at the door. Ginny Swan. Can I come in? I go stiff. Is Ginny working for Tudor Sewell and the demon? Has she been sent to convince me that my imagination is run wild? I like Ginny. I'd hate to think that she's evil, but if she backs up Tudor's story... I want to check everything's all right, Ginny says, eyeing the bag which I'm in the middle of packing. Did Tudor send you? I asked tightly. No, I came because I heard you telling Dervish that Emmett might have been killed by a real demon. I wanted to know what you meant. I would have thought that was obvious. You can't truly believe that was a real demon, Ginny says. Demons don't exist, do they, Dervish? Dervish clears his throat. Well, I wouldn't say that exactly. But we're making a film about demons. That was just an act. Emmett has mysteriously disappeared, I cut in. Ginny frowns. Excuse me? Nora had a fight with Trump Cuneyart, Dervish explains. The way we heard it, she lost her temper, grabbed Emmett, demanded a car, and took off. But she can't have, Ginny says. Their contract. They tore it up, Dervish says softly. Allegedly. Ginny's frown deepens. Then she looks at me, expression clearing. That explains the bag. You think this confirms what you suspected? And you're getting out before the demons kill you too? Damn straight. Ginny nods slowly. And if I try to convince you that Emmett hasn't been killed, that the demons aren't real, you would think I was part of a conspiracy? I hesitate, not wanting to offend her if she's innocent. I don't know anything about a fight between Nora and Trump, or why Nora wouldn't have been allowed to leave, Ginny says steadily. And it's strange it happened so quickly without them saying goodbye to anyone. You might be right. The demon could have been real. Maybe it killed Emmett. Ginny reaches inside the light pack she's wearing and pulls out a pink mobile phone out of her pocket. She holds it towards me. As I take it, suspicious, she says, I have the contact numbers for everyone connected to the children working on the film. Nora's number is in here. I'd like you to call her. I glance up sharply. No tricks, Ginny says. I don't know what will happen when you dial the number. I'm making no promises. I think Nora will answer, or if she doesn't, you can leave a message and she'll phone back shortly. But short of us getting a car and tearing after them in hot pursuit, I think this is the only way to determine the truth. I stare at the buttons. I don't want to do this. I want to pass the phone back to Ginny, finish packing and get the hell out. I can't, because maybe, just maybe, I called this wrong. Maybe the fear dates back to my fight with Lord Loss and my mind's playing tricks on me. I'm pretty sure it isn't. But if I refuse to dial, I'll look like a crackpot. I unlock the phone, thumb up a list of names. Is it under E or N? I ask. N for Nora, Ginny says. I search for N's. There's a lot of them. I scroll down. There it is, Nora Egypt. I hit the dial button. It rings once, twice, 3 times, four, five. I don't want to talk about it, a woman's voice snaps. Cunard can fry in the fires of hell. You tell him. Mrs. Egypt, I interrupt. A pause. Who's this? Grubbs Grady, Emmett's friend. Oh, I'm sorry. I saw Ginny's name come up, so I assumed. I'm ringing from her phone. I see. Did you want to speak to Emmett? Yes, please. Speaking mechanically, figuring this could be any woman. I don't know Mrs. Egypt's voice well enough to make any definite identification. Waiting for the kicker, for her to say he's asleep, or he doesn't want to talk to me, or I'll pass you over. The sound of her phone being handed across, the noise of the car engine in the background. Then, Emmett. Hi, Grubbs, he says quietly, miserably. Hi, I reply weakly. I can't talk now. I'm sorry I split without saying goodbye. I'm hoping we can come back later when... No way, Emmett's mum shrieks. Not unless that fat fool Cunard gets down on his knees and... I'll have to call you back, Emmett says quickly and disconnects. I look at the little red button on Ginny's phone, slowly, reluctantly. I press it. I hand the phone back to Ginny, raise my eyes, and smile like a fool, silently admitting to Ginny and the others that I was wrong, even though, inside, part of me still insists the demon was real. I can't believe you thought Emmett had been killed, Billy chuckles. It's the morning after. We're on our way to class. I don't want to talk about it, I mutter. I just don't see how you could. Enough, I snap. Then softly. Remember what I told you about my parents? How they died? Oh, yeah. Billy's face drops. Grubbs, I didn't mean. It's okay. Just don't say anything about it, please, to the others. Of course not, Billy smiles. Stays between us. I'll never breathe a word of it to anyone, especially not Bo Cunard and her mob. Yet they'd have to torture it out of me. Thanks, because if they knew, like I said, your secret's safe with me, Billy promises. Dervish won't say anything either, or Ginny. No one will ever find out. It'll be coolio. Look out! Bo screams as we walk into class. It's a demon! Bo, Abe, Vanelli, Salet, even Cook and Keek howl theatrically. They burst out laughing. Miss John blinks at them, astonished. I groan and raise my eyebrows at Billy, who can only shrug, bewildered. My dad was in the corridor outside your room, Bo says smugly. He heard you talking. He heard everything. She laughs again, and I know I'm in for a few long months. That's the end of that chapter. We'll just go straight into the next one. It's called Missing. The joke doesn't wear thin for Bo. Every day she drags it out, mocking and ridiculing me, keeping the story of my hysterics alive. She tells anyone who'll listen. The other actors, the crew, Davida, most smile and dismiss it, too busy to bother with such trivial matters. But knowing they know causes me to blush fiercely every time someone even glances at me. Emmett never rang back, and I'm too shamefaced to call him. I doubt he'll have heard about my panic attack, but there's no telling how far Bo has decided to spread the joke. The person I'm angriest with, apart from myself for being such an idiot, is Trump Cunard. I can't blame Bo for wringing such wicked pleasure out of my embarrassment. It'd be hard for any kid to ignore such a juicy bit of bait that fell into their lap. But what was their father sneaking around outside our room for? And why didn't he keep his big mouth shut? If Dervish had heard something like this about Bo, he wouldn't have told me. Trump Cunard should have kept quiet. He didn't. So now it's payback time. I spend a lot of hours thinking about ways to get even with Beau's father. Itching powder in his clothes, rat droppings in his soup, human droppings in his stew or chocolate ice cream, shave him bald, glue his lips together while he sleeps. All good stuff, but basic. I want something that'll give him a fright, that I can use to humiliate him. Like, if he's scared of rats, borrow one of the trained rats, which are being used to the film, drop it in his back. When there's a crowd around, laugh my head off as he wreathes and screams. But to do that, I'll have to find out more about him and what he's scared of. I start shadowing him. I do it when I'm not in class. I don't tell Billy. He'd happily join in if he knew what I was up to, but I don't want him getting in trouble if this backfires. Trump Cunard is a powerful player. If I humble him in public, I might end up booted off the set. I don't mind that, but there's no need for Billy to suffer as well. Trump's easy to follow, tall and wide, always dressed in a drab brown suit. He walks with a slow waddle, mopping sweat from his forehead with a handkerchief which rarely leaves his hand. He usually talks loudly as he strolls, to himself if no one's around. He doesn't seem to be able to keep silent except when there's a scene being filmed. I bet he even talks in my sleep, or in his sleep. I bet if I was blind, I could probably follow him by sound alone. I don't learn much about Trump, except he loves to walk and eat. He has a trailer on the western edge of Slawter, separate trailers beside it for Beau and Abe, three of the biggest trailers on set. When he's not in the prowl, making sure his actors are happy or pigging out in the canteens, he spends most of his time in the trailer. He makes lots of phone calls. There are no personal computers allowed at Slaughter, no video mobiles either, so he has to work from a huge file of fax, which he keeps all his contact details and other info. I think about stealing the file of fax and burning it, but that's hardly going to leave him a trembling wreck. Close to Trump's trailer, nearly a week after I began shadowing him, waiting for him to emerge, sitting in the shade of another trailer, reading a movie magazine, always plenty around. Starting to tire of the detective work. Beau's still annoying me, but her insults have grown stale. Nobody really laughs at her jokes anymore. Maybe I should just quit this game and forget about vengeance. Someone knocks on Trump's door. I look up and spot Judah Sewell entering the trailer. I haven't spoken to Judah since the day of the demon attack. I'm sure Beau told him about my hysterics. He must think I'm a right nutter. He might even feel insulted that I didn't believe him when he told me about Nora and Trump. Look what the cat dragged in, someone says behind me. I jump, but it's only Beau, on our way back from filming. Discover any demons today, Grady? No. Discover any new jokes? I don't need them. Not when the old ones are still funny. She flashes her teeth and growls demonically. I yawn and focus on my magazine until she loses interest and goes away. I wait for the sound of the trailer door locking, then get up, angry, sick of hanging around. I could be playing football with Billy, not sitting here like a third-rate substitute, wasting my... Trump steps out of his trailer, followed by Judah Sewell. Trump's talking loudly, mopping away busily at his forehead. Judah never seems to sweat, which is handy. Without eyebrows, sweat would flow straight into his eyes. The pair set off in a northerly direction, looking a bit like Laurel and Hardy from the rear. Since I'm here, I decide to follow. But it's the last time. I've had enough. Trump and Judah head for the D workshops. The huge warehouse dominates the northern part of Slaughter. I haven't spent much time up there. No point, since access to the workshops is strictly prohibited. As Trump and Judah show their passes to a security guard in the western door, one of the four doors leading to the warehouse. I hang back and take a long look at the building. 3 stories high, 70 or 80 metres wide, maybe 120 metres long. Large, unplastered block walls, a flat roof, no windows. grey and featureless, apart from a big red D painted in the wall above the door. A small guard's hut to the right of the entrance. I'd love to look inside, at the monster costumes and puppets. A small part of me still believes the demon was real. If I could check out the costumes, perhaps it would help convince me of the truth. But hardly anyone is allowed to enter the hallowed halls of the D workshops. Even Dervish has only seen a small section of the complex. I wait impatiently for Trump and Judy to come out. Then I figure, stuff him. I'm through with this crap. I decide to find Billy and hang out with him for the rest of the afternoon. But before departing, I wander around the warehouse, on the off chance that maybe one of the doors is open and the guard is asleep in his hut. That won't happen, of course, but might as well give it a shot while I'm here. The guard on the southern door studies me suspiciously as I approach. Though he doesn't openly carry any weapons, it wouldn't surprise me if he had a gun hidden on him somewhere. I smile politely, but don't stray any closer. Walk to the eastern end, turn left. The door on this side is shut too, and although the guard's in his hut, he isn't asleep. I spot him through the window as I walk past, leafing through the magazine with pictures of tanks on the cover. I reach the northern end, turn left again. The guard here is standing next to the door, leaning against the wall. He smiles as I go past. I think about stopping for a chat, maybe try to blag my way inside, but his smile isn't that inviting. Back to the western end, heading south, thinking about where Billy might be. As I come up to the guard's hut, the door to the workshop opens. I hear Trump's voice and stop behind the hut where he and Judah can't see me to wait until they pass. Not going to like it, Trump is booming. They're not meant to like it, Judah replies in a much softer voice. But that boy will be hard to keep quiet. They're so close to each other. Maybe we should take them both. One will be enough, Judah says. Now all we have to. Their voices fade. I remain where I am, frowning, wondering who they were talking about. The next day, Kik goes missing. Cuck turns up for class by himself, looking lost. Have any of you seen Kik? He asks, eyes darting around the room as if his twin sister might be hiding under a desk. I can't find her. I don't know where she is. Kik, are you here? Miss John sits the agitated Cuck down, tries to soothe his nerves, coaxes the story out of him. It's not complicated. He woke up this morning. Kik's bed was empty. He couldn't find her. Their dad wasn't too concerned. Said she'd probably gone for a walk. But Cuck smelt the rat instantly. We don't go anywhere without telling each other. She wouldn't have slipped out without saying anything. Maybe she just needed to be alone for a while, Miss John suggests. We don't like being alone, Cuck says, shaking his head vigorously. Alone is bad. Alone is scary. When Miss John fails to calm Cook's nerves, she calls security and asks if a guard can be put, or if he can put the word out to look for Kik. It's no big deal, she tells him. We'd just like to know where she is. Class proceeds as normal, except for Cook, who fidgets behind his desk, eyes wide and searching, staring out the window. He unnerves the rest of us. Even Beau is discomforted by him and remains quiet. No jokes, no digs. Toward the end of class, Miss John summons the guard again. He says nobody's seen Kik, but they're still looking. I raise a hand. Have you tried the D workshops? I ask innocently. The guard frowns. She wouldn't be there. She might have snuck in. The guard grins. Into the D? I don't think so. Even I haven't made it inside. I don't have clearance. But she might be there, I insist. I'm holding a steel ballpoint pen, gripping it tight, remembering the conversation I overheard yesterday. Trump saying, the boy will be hard to keep quiet. I'll check with the guys who are on duty this morning, the guard says, rolling his eyes slightly. If they've seen her, I'll let you know. Thanks. The guard leaves. Class ends. hurries out to search for his sister. What was that about D warehouse? Billy asks, hanging back. Nothing. I just thought they might not have looked there. Billy squints suspiciously. I know you too well, Grubs, Grady, he says in a bad Bela Lugosi accent. You wouldn't have said something like that without a reason. What are you hiding from me? I consider telling him what I heard Trump Cunard say, but I'm still smarting from my previous humiliation. I don't want to reveal my fears, only for Kick to turn up, leaving me looking like a paranoid maniac. It's nothing, I say, unclenching my fists to lay my pen down. Let's. Grey liquid drips from my hands onto the table. Billy pulls a face. What's that? It looks like mercury. I don't reply. I'm staring at the liquid, the last few drops dripping from my fingers, black ink bubbling on my palms. It's the remains of the pen, the steel ballpoint pen I was holding. I melted it. Night falls. Kick hasn't been seen all day. Cook's not the only one worried about her now. Her father's frantic. The search has intensified. Security forces have been deployed in earnest. David even suspends shooting so everyone can join the search parties for help. I'm in a group exploring the eastern end of town, looking through all the real buildings, checking behind the facade of the fakes, trying to focus on the search, trying not to think about the pen and how I melted it. But I can't not think about it. There could be a scientific explanation, but certain that the melting had. But I'm certain the melting had nothing to do with science. It was magic. I'm not a natural magician. Dervish told me that only one or two real magicians are born every century. There are others like Dervish and Mira Flame, mages, with the potential to perform magic acts, usually with the aid of spells. I could maybe do that, but I never have. I'm not keen on magic. Plus, there hasn't been time. Dervish was a zombie for more than a year, and he's not been up for teaching duties since he recovered. So how did I melt that pen? There's only one answer I can think of. When demons enter our universe, they affect an area where they cross. They're creatures of magic, and magic infects the world around them. When my parents were killed, I was able to tap into the magical, demonic energy and use it to escape. I did again later in the secret cellar when I fought Artery in vain. I think it's happening now. There's magic in the air, the magic of demons. We don't find Kick. The search concludes after midnight. Everyone turns in. Most people reckon she ran away. The guards say they'll search for her beyond Slawter tomorrow, take Cook and his father with them. I haven't told anyone about my fears. No point. I'd only be laughed at. But I can't sit back and do nothing. I have to try to help Kick, assuming she can be helped. So I track down Dervish. He's searching with Junie and a few others. Him and Junie aren't an item yet, but they've been spending more and more time together, and she's with him now. She says she's been helping him cope with his nightmares, that she's taught him how to control his dreams, to keep the monsters in his subconscious at bay. But I think he's more lustful than grateful. He's practically bathing in that new aftershave now. I get my story straight before I hit Dervish with it. I say I saw Kick yesterday near D workshops. Tell him I think she found a way in, that she's hiding inside, possibly trapped. Maybe something fell on her. She could be pinned to the floor, crying out for help. Nobody to hear. Dervish doesn't think she could get in. Security's too tight. But Ginny says they should check it out. It's the one place that we haven't explored. If she did make it in somehow and sneak in and had an accident, neither Ginny nor Dervish has the authority to enter D workshops, so we go to Davida. We find her in her office, discussing the next day's shoot with Judah Soul. David is tired and irritable. The delay has put the company behind schedule. She hears us out, then shakes her head. We already checked. Grubbs mentioned the D earlier, so the grabs who were on duty this morning, or the guards who were on duty this morning, and last night, were questioned. They all said they hadn't seen her. They wouldn't have if she snuck in, Dervish presses. Impossible, Judas says. I catch him shooting a glare at me. There is no way into D warehouse other than through the doors. We constructed it to be impenetrable. But, Dervish begins. No, Judah snaps, staring at Dervish directly. Dervish stares back at Judah. His pupils widen, then he smiles and shrugs. I guess we were wrong. Judah nods, his eyes still fixed on Dervish. I guess you were. My stomach tenses. It's not like Dervish to back down easily. Is Judah controlling Dervish's thoughts? Was I right about the browless assistant director? Is he in league with the demonic forces? Before I challenge Judah, Ginny speaks up. We need to search there, she tells Davida. Or, if you won't allow us in, send a team of guards in. Tell them to fine-comb the place. Because if Kik is in there, and a determined child can always find a way in, no matter how tight security is, she might be in trouble. If we ignore that, something bad happens to her. Davida sighs. Judah, assemble a team of guards, and I think you should oversee this personally, Davida, Ginny interrupts. She smiles sweetly at the glowering Judah. No offense, Mr. Sewell, but you're too convinced the girl isn't there. You might just take a cursory glance around, then quit. Judah bristles angrily and squares up to Ginny. Before he can start an argument, Davida says, We have no infighting, thank you. Judah, please assemble a team for me. I'll go with them to D workshops and make sure every room and cupboard is scoured methodically. Is that acceptable, Miss Swan? Perfect. Ginny smiles and we file out. I walk just behind Dervish, studying him carefully, wondering what might be going on inside his head. We wait outside the warehouse while Davida and the guards search for Keek. Ginny is concerned about Dervish. She asks if he's feeling all right, if he has a headache. She saw it too, the exchange between him and Judah. I doubt she understood it the way I did, but she knows, or senses, something isn't right. It's after 2:30 in the morning when a yawning Davida and her guards emerge. She shakes her head, exasperated. No sign. We checked everywhere. You sure? I answer. Davida doesn't answer. We'll search the surrounding countryside tomorrow, she tells Ginny. The girl probably had an argument with one of the other children and took off in a huff. Maybe she'll turn up by herself. I smother a snort. I'll doubt it. I set my alarm, back half an hour, and sleep late. Stare at the ceiling when I wake, tired and grumpy, finding it hard to get out of bed, wondering what to do about Kik. Ideally, I'd like to tell Dervish what I heard Trump Cuneyart and Judah Sewell saying. I insist that Emmett was butchered by a demon, and Kik. But when I spoke to Emmett, he wasn't killed, unless... You can do just about anything with movie technology or magic. Maybe Judah Sewell was also eavesdropping with Trump Cuneyart when I told Dervish and Ginny my fears. Perhaps he intercepted the call, faked Emmett's voice, using either a mechanical or magical voice distorter. Difficult, but not impossible. I grab my trousers from the chair at the foot of my bed, dig my mobile out of my pocket, and dial Emmett's number. There's no dial tone at his end. His phone's turned off, or he's somewhere without a signal. I get up, dress, and head for class. I think about asking Ginny for alternate phone numbers for Emmett and his mum, but she probably would want to know why I was looking for them now. I don't want to reveal my suspicions to anyone just in case I end up the laughingstock again. So in the end, whenever lessons finish, I casually ask Miss John if she has Emmett Egypt's number. I say I've been trying to contact Emmett on his mobile, but I haven't been able to get through. Miss John searches her list of names, then calls the number out to me. I thank her and dial it as I head for lunch. Dead, just like Emmett's. I try his number again, same as earlier. It might not mean anything, then again, it might. I try the two numbers several times over the course of the day, Not a peep from either. I dial directory inquiries and get their home number. Ring it, only to find that the line has been disconnected. One last try. I remember Emmett telling us about his local school. Again, I use directory inquiries, then call and ask if I can speak with Emmett Egypt. I say I found his mobile phone and want to return it. The secretary says Emmett's not at school. He's making a film. I say I thought he'd finished and returned. No, she says he hasn't. I ask if she's sure. Maybe he's back home, just not at school. She says definitely not. She knows his mother. I stare at my phone a long time after that, certain I've been tricked. Emmett and his mum are still here, along with Kik, but not necessarily alive. Night. Kik hasn't been found. The search teams return at 7. Cook and his father aren't with them. The researchers say Mr. Kane and his son have gone home, in case Kik heads there. I groan when I hear that. I hope it's true. I pray that it is, because, not just because, I don't want Cook and his dad to be dead, but because if it's a lie, it means that the guards who were with them are part of the cover-up. It means that it isn't just Judah Sewell and one or two others I have to be wary of. I might not be able to trust anyone in the entire cast or crew. Filming resumes in the morning. David is still worried about missing Kik, or claims to be. Who can I trust? But life goes on. A film costs a fortune to make. Every day is vital. She can't afford to have her team sitting around idle. So, while a selection of guards took off in search to search the land around Slawter, as the sun rose, the cameras rolled as normal. They're filming the second big demon scene tonight. No carnage or loss of life, but it's a scene from the third act, in which the demon appears to Bobby Mint and his friends. It predicts doom, warns them of the destruction to come, then tells them they can't leave, it's too late. They're destined to die, along with everyone that they care about and love. I've lost interest in the filming, but I have to go and watch tonight's shoot to check out the demon. I heard it's different to the one that killed Emmett. I wonder if this creature will be real or a model. I know what I'd put my money on. A large crowd gathers for the shoot, but not as many as the first demon show. The scene's being shot outside the church, one of the fake buildings in Slawter. In the script, the heroes have gathered inside to discuss the demons and what they can do to alert the others of danger. The scenes have been filmed, or rather, will be, on an interior set. The scene is set at the end of their debate. They've just come out and they're heading down the steps. The demon appears in the church behind them, laughing, saying it's overheard their entire plan. David sets the scene, runs the actors through their paces, makes sure all the cameras and lights are correctly positioned, and then takes her seat. Action! I watch nervously, hold my breath, as Salet, Smith, and the others spill out of the church. Faces bright and determined, they are 8 steps down from the doors. As they hit the second step from the bottom, laughter echoes from within. Poor foolish humans, the demon crows. Salet and his crew whirl, gasping. You think you know so much, but, like all mortals, your knowledge of the world is pitiful. It would be amusing, were it not so sad. I start to shiver at the first syllable. There's no mistaking that voice, that low, mournful tone. I know what's coming next. I give anything to be wrong, but I know I'm not. The demon appears, gliding out of the shadows. He's lit perfectly. I hear murmurs of approval from the people around me. They were caught by surprise with Emmett, but they're ready this time, in control of their emotions. Besides, although the demon is more horrific in appearance than the first, he moves so fluidly, so gracefully, that they have time to appreciate his design, the months of hard work which must have gone into creating him. You cannot defeat me or my kind, the demon says, looking from one so-called hero to another, then beyond to the crowd watching the filming. We can go anywhere you can, and to places where you can't. We see all, hear all, know all, and we will kill all. A tall demon, pale red skin with lots of cracks in it, from which blood continually oozes, dark red eyes, no hair or nose, grey teeth and tongue, a hole where his heart should be, filled with dozens of tiny snakes, mangled hands at the end of his 8 arms, no feet, just fleshy ribs dangling from his waist, giving the appearance of thin, misshapen legs. He doesn't touch the floor, but hovers a few centimeters above the ground. This is our town now, or it will be, the demon says. There is nothing you can do to stop us. His eyes fall on me, and he smiles widely. There is nothing any of you can do except be slaughtered. Then he laughs and drifts back into the church. The door slams shut. A boy in the group of heroes screams. Davide yells, "Cut!" Everyone pours forward, cheering, congratulating the actors, remarking on how realistic and creepy the demon was, questioning how the effects team got it to hover so believably, what mechanics were involved. But there were no strings or engines. It wasn't a model or a costume. I had few doubts up to this point, and any I had vanish. We're in seriously deep trouble. That demon wasn't speaking from a script. His words weren't meant for the fictional characters, but for the ones watching. They are real demons here. Emmett has been killed, and probably Keek and her relatives too. And it's going to get worse, because the monster who wowed the crowd a minute ago, and the one who killed my parents and sister, who vowed to kill Dervish, Billy, and me, the majestic, terrible demon master himself, lowly Lord Loss. End of chapter 7-ish, 8, I think. I don't have chapters. It's called Missing. I will read the next chapter. Ooh, how long is it? Yeah, out of time. I'm going to take a short break though. Be back in a minute or two. All right, back and bad. This chapter is called D. Incredibly, impossibly, Dervish doesn't believe me. It was just another guy in a costume, he says. You have to stop seeing demons everywhere you look. I know, don't, I snap. I've got I've got him by myself, out of earshot of everyone. That piece of scum killed my mum and dad. He slaughtered Gret. Don't tell me I could ever confuse a movie prop for the real thing. Don't you dare. Grubs, I know this is hard. You've got to believe. That was Lord Loss, I cry. It looked like him, Dervish says soothingly, but that's because David did a lot of research. She knows what real demons look like. Actually, I helped her out on this one. She had some of the details wrong. She didn't know about the cracks in his skin, the colour in his eyes. He didn't have real feet. Really, I sneer. You filled her in on all the facts. Yes, Dervish says, trying to sound modest. And our technicians were able to make the changes. I clicked my fingers like that. They were able to oh, take elaborate mechanical costumes they'd been working on for months and alter them within the space of a few days. Yes, Dervish says evenly. I stare into my uncle's eyes, but I don't find him there. The dervish I know wouldn't smile at me glibly like this and dismiss my fears so carelessly. Judah's soul has brainwashed him. I'm sure of it. I'll have to look elsewhere for allies. Where are you going? Dervish asks as I turn my back on him and march off. To find someone who'll believe. I ask Ginny to visit Billy and me in her room. I say it's about Bo Cuneyard and I'm having problems with her and would like Ginny's advice. Naturally, Ginny's only too happy to help. Promises to drop by within the next half hour. Billy knows something big is up. He doesn't know what it is, but he's delighted to be involved, proud that I'm including him. He wasn't happy when I sulked around the set without him. Not saying why, but now I'm bringing him in on the secret. All is forgiven. I say nothing until Ginny arrives, getting things clear in my head, deciding how much to tell them, what to say, and what to keep to myself. When she's finally here, sitting on a chair, hands clasped on her knees, I begin by confessing that I lied. I didn't really bring you here to talk about Bo. I guessed. She smiles. You're not a good liar, which is a positive thing. Don't think I'm criticizing you. Before I get down to the crazy stuff, have either of you noticed anything strange about Dervish? I ask. What do you mean? Billy frowns. I'll take that as a no. Junie? She pauses. I don't know your uncle very well, but he seemed a little unfocused recently. You saw it when he was talking to Judah about the search for Kick, didn't you? I saw something, Ginny says cagily. Dervish has been through a lot the last 2 years. The responsibility of having to look after you, the temporary loss of his mind, is trying to readjust to the normal life, the nightmares. Nightmares? Billy asks. We never told him about Dervish's bad dreams. He's had trouble sleeping recently, Ginny explains. That's the first I've heard of it, Billy grumbles. He finds it easy to share his secrets and fears with me, Ginny says. He's able to tell me things he finds hard to discuss with others. I've been trying to help him through his problems. We're making good progress, but now he seems to have regressed. Judah's messing with his mind, I tell her, controlling his thoughts. You can't be serious, Ginny laughs, but her laughter dies away when she sees that I am. I'm going to tell you something that will sound insane, I begin. Billy knows some of it, but not all. I need you to hear me out, and at least try to believe me. Of course, Ginny says. She leans forward, intrigued. I take a breath, glance at Billy, knowing what I say is going to hurt him, then launch straight in. Demons killed my parents and sister. I fill them in on the rest of the details. My early encounter with Lord Loss, escape, madness, recovery, moving to Carcery Vale, the curse of the Gradys, then the big one, Billy turning into a werewolf. So that's it, Billy cries. He's trembling, his lazy eye quivering wildly. I never bought your story that Dervish locked me up to protect me. I knew there was something you weren't telling. He glances at me accusingly. You lied to me. I didn't want to hurt you, I sigh. I can take hurt, not lies. You should have told me. Maybe, I mutter miserably. So, am I cured? Billy snarls. Yes. For real? Forever? I nod glumly, then outline the deal with certain members of our family that they had going on with Lord Loss, the chess matches, the battles with his familiars. I tell them how Dervish and I challenged Lord Loss on Billy's behalf. The only part I leave out is the truth about Billy's father. I don't want to tell him that we have the same dad. This isn't the time to open that can of worms. Billy's rage dwindles when he hears what Dervish and I risked to save him. He's staring at me with awe now, tears trickling down his cheeks. I find it more unsettling than his anger. He's gawping at me, like I'm some kind of hero, but I'm not. I only did it because he's my brother, and I can't tell him that. Not now. He thinks Dervish is his dad. If I tell him the truth, I'd be hitting him with news that his real father's dead. I finished quickly with the last few months. Dervish defeating Lord Loss in his demonic realm, regaining his senses, the nightmares, coming here to try and sort himself out, the demons which killed Emmett, overhearing Trump Cuneyart and Shoot Soul talking, the appearance of Lord Loss. It was definitely him, I tell them. I wasn't 100% before, but I'm sure now. There are real demons in Slawter. Judah and Trump are working for them, along with some of the crew. David might be one of their allies too. Lord Loss swore revenge on me, Dervish, and Billy, so the three of us are up for the chop. No doubt about it. Probably the rest of you as well. Silence. Billy is staring at me, torn between hero worship, terror, and doubt. Ginny doesn't know what to think or say. She's probably heard all sorts in her time, but nothing like this. She's trying to think of a gentle way of denying what I'm saying without insulting or enraging me. It's okay, I smile. You can say I'm crazy, I won't mind. People roll out that word too swiftly, Ginny objects. It's an easy fallback. I never try to make such a gross generalization. But yeah, in this case, you'll make an exception, I finish for her. She grins shakily. I wasn't going to say that. That's what you were thinking, right? She tilts her head uncertainly. We have a lot to discuss. This goes back a long way. You have deep-rooted issues which we'll have to work through one at a time. To begin with, do you believe in magic? I interrupt. No, Ginny says plainly. What if I could convince you? How? I've been thinking a lot about this. I know words alone wouldn't be enough. I haven't done anything magical since melting the pen, but I'm sure magic is still in the air, surrounding me, waiting to be channeled. It better be, or else I really will look like a loon. Is that worth a lot? I ask, pointing to the watch on her wrist. No, she frowns. Does it matter to you? Would you miss it if you lost it? Not really. Where's this going, Grubs? You'll see. I fix my gaze on the watch, willing it to melt. I'm anticipating a struggle, but as soon as I focus, the watch liquidizes and drips off Ginny's hand. Ow! Ginny leaps. She leaps to her feet, rubbing her wrist. It's hot. Sorry, I jump too. Are you okay? Do you want me to get some ice or... I'm fine, Ginny snaps, then quits rubbing and stares at a red mark left behind by the melted metal, then at the puddle on the floor, then at me. Grubs, what the hell? She croaks. That's just for openers, I beam, confidence bubbling. Yep. Have you ever wanted to fly? In the end, we don't fly. Ginny isn't ready to open the window and soar up over the buildings of Slaughter. I'm not really ready either. But we levitate a bit to prove that the melting watch wasn't a hoax, that this is real magic, not some stage trick. This is incredible, Ginny laughs, as I make the light switch on and off just by looking at it, while juggling pairs of balled up socks without touching them. Bloody amazing is what it is, Billy gasps. Could I do that too? Maybe, I say, flicking the light on and off a few more times, then letting the socks drop. Derby says lots of people have magical potential. They just don't know it. The magic's thick in the air around us here, but you and the others aren't aware of it. I am, because I fought the demons, and part of my mind, the part that's magic, opened up. If you could open that part of your mind, I bet you could do anything I can. I need to get me a demon to whop, Billy mutters. Of course. It could all be in my head, Ginny says. You could have Slip me some hallucinogenic substances. I might be imagining the watch floating, the socks. Billy wrinkles his nose. You couldn't hallucinate the smell of grub socks, I say, and we all laugh. You don't really believe that, do you? I ask Ginny. No, she sighs, but I want to keep an open mind, like you advised. It means not accepting your story about demons, even if magic is real. She looks at me earnestly. One doesn't verify the other. I haven't seen evidence of demons yet. You don't need to, I groan. If the demons aren't real, where am I getting my power from? I have no idea, Ginny says. You might be generating it naturally, subconsciously. The demons might be your way of rationalizing your power. She holds up a hand as I start to argue. I'm not saying that is the case, just that it might be. Ginny sits back, a troubled look on her face. Actually, I can't tell you how much I hope that the demons are a product of your imagination, for Emmett's sake. Kick another's. I know, I mutter. I wish they weren't real too, but they are. She licks her lips, frowning deeply, trying to get her head around what I'm telling her. I need proof, she says finally. I'm not sure what you want me to do, but I can't do anything until I've seen direct evidence. I want you to help Dervish, I tell her. Judah's soul has some sort of mind lock on him. I want you to help me break it. If you can do that without believing in demons, can you? Perhaps, she says. I don't want to go anywhere near your uncle's mind until I know for sure what I'm dealing with. I think I can prove it, I says softly, lowering my gaze, but it could be dangerous. That sort of dangerous where we all die if things go horribly wrong. I'm prepared to take that risk, Ginny says evenly. Me too, Billy pipes up bravely, although the squeak in his voice betrays his fear. I nod reluctantly. Demons don't appear out of thin air. They have to be summoned. Their universe has to merge with ours. A window or a tunnel between worlds has to be opened. If Lord Loss and the other demons are real, there has to be a place where they crossed. A secret place. A place where nobody but the humans or their human partners are allowed to get into. The D workshops, Billy and Ginny say at the same time. Got it in one, I chuckled bleakly. Ginny keeps saying she must be crazy for going along with this. It's a mad plan. She should get her head examined. But the magic's unnerved her. She's confused, not in complete control. I should give her a day to think things over and clear her head, but she might not play ball if I did. She might start rationalizing and analyzing and decide nobody in her position should break into the building. Worse, she might tell Davida, and I believe, or rather what I believe, and tip our enemies off. So I rush her along, allowing her no time to think. It's impossible to sneak up on the warehouse, no matter what time you come. Large, powerful lamps are trained on all sides of the building at night. You can't approach it without your shadow preceding you, growing like a giant the closer you get. But I've got magic on my side. I could have performed any number of miracles in a room to convince Ginny of my power. I didn't randomly choose to experiment on the light bulb. Studying the lamps in the shelter was the closest of the closest building. Sorry, it's quite dark in here. See if I can turn on the light. That's a bit better. Studying the lamps. Not sure if I have the strength to do this. I just have to try and hope for the best. Focusing, I close my eyes, keep the picture of the lamp vivid in my thoughts. I visualize the lamps flaring and going out all at once, like a flashbulb on a camera. Call on the magic, try to extend it to the lights, doubting if I can really. Bly hell, Billy gasps, then a chuckle. Coolio. I open my eyes in the darkness. Let's go, I hiss, starting forward. Not sure how much time we'll have. Oh my, Ginny says breathlessly and runs after me, with Billy along for the ride, even if she doesn't truly want to be. The guards come out of their hut with strong torches. We drop to our stomachs as their beams sweep around the surrounding area. I think about quenching the torches, but that would really stir up their suspicions. Lying on the ground, head down, hear one of the guards on his walkie-talkie, checking if the lamps are out all over. He doesn't sound worried. The guards sweep the area a few more times with their torches, and then return to the hut. One keeps his torch beam trained on the door of the D. There's no other way to get in. There's no other way we could get in through it without being seen. So it's just as well I didn't plan on entering that way. Rising, I hurry forward, trying not to make any noise, heading for the point, about 3/4 of the way along the side of the warehouse, where it's nice and dark, where we can't be seen easily by guards. I rest when I get to the wall, panting heavily, more from fear than the run. Ginny and Billy arrive moments later. Billy's puffing hard. He's not as fit as me. I can see in their faces the light of the moon and the stars. Billy looks scared but excited. Ginny's just scared. Funny, but I feel like the adult here. What now? Billy asks when he gets his breath back. The Indian rope trick, I grin and try to make a laugh or a length of rope appear, dangling from the roof. Nothing happens. I try again, this time demanding the rope simply appear on the ground. Nothing. I frown, wondering if I've used up all my magic quenching the lights. But then I recall my fight with Artery and Vein. Dervish supplied the weapons, laid them on the floor of the secret cellar, axes and swords, etc. He wouldn't have gone to all that effort if we could simply make weapons appear. Maybe magic doesn't work that way, and objects can't be created out of thin air. So the roof's out. Fine. Time for plan B. I focus on the wall. Bare blocks, cement tightly together. No chinks. I can't help but think about how thick they are. And I imagine the walls more than a single block deep. I place my left hand on the nearest block and concentrate, not sure if I can melt stone like metal, but I give it a go. The block doesn't melt. I try again, but it still holds. I sigh. It looks like I've run out of ideas, but as I lean forward to try to think of another way in, my fingers gouge into the stone. It's like putting my hand in mud. I make a half fist and scoop out a handful of mushy material. I smile at the muck and then say to Junie and Billy, "You two clear the mess away. I'll get to work on the rest of the blocks." "Be careful," Billy whispers. "I don't want the wall collapsing." "No worries," I snort. Grubs Grady's on top of the situation. "This is madness," Ginny mutters, but digs her fingers into the semi-melted blocks and begins scooping it out. It takes 15 minutes to gouge a hole big enough for us to fit through. It feels like hours. All the time I'm aware of the threat of the lamps snapping back on, the guards sighting us, everything coming undone. But the darkness holds, and at last I melt through the third and final layer of blocks. I poke my head through the gap and switch on the torch that I brought with me. It looks like an ordinary props room. Puppets and molds lying around, tools, mannequins, bits of material, tubes of glue. I switch off the torch and slide inside. Ginny follows, then Billy. Billy's frowning when he steps in. He looks back at the hole. "What are we going to do about that?" he asks. "If they see it when the lamps come on?" "Well, we'll just have to hope they don't." "And then we leave?" he persists. "They'll know we've been here." "We'll try to make the stones solid again and put them back," I tell him. "But if I can't, don't worry. If I'm right, we're dealing with demons, and we're not going to hang around like horror movie victims waiting for them to get wise to us." "And if you're wrong?" Ginny asks. "If there aren't any demons?" "Then we'll wind up in heaps of trouble," I chuckle. "But we'll be in trouble of the ass-kicking, job-losing kind. That's the trouble. And trouble like that I don't mind so much." So what now? Billy asks, glancing around. I wonder. Explore much of the building as we can. Keep going until we find something strange or run out of rooms. Perhaps one of us should remain here to alert the others if the guards find the hole, Billy suggests. How? I grunt. Phone? He roots out his mobile, flicks it on, frowns, shakes it, then scowls. No signal. Damn. It's probably better we stay together anyway, Ginny says, then lets out an uneasy breath. I've never done anything like this. I've never even stole sweets from shops when I was a child. I've always respected the law. Welcome to the underground, baby, Billy chortles, trying to sound like a 1930s gangster. No more talking, I whisper. We advance. And that's the end of that chapter. All right, I'm going to leave it there for tonight. Thanks for joining. I'll put this up on YouTube, but I don't know how much more of these I'm going to put up in the series. For each book, I think it would be probably best to toe the line on the copyright thing and have no more than about half of it uploaded. The other half I will still read on here on Twitch. And if anyone on YouTube wants to hear the ending, please join me. We will still be reading through the book. But I do encourage you to buy the book yourself and read it. In fact, the whole series. Slaughter's part of a series called The Demonata. And when I began, I hadn't thought you needed much of a read of the last books. But it turns out it actually does talk about a lot of the previous book that Grubbs is in. One of my favourite books, certainly one of my favourite authors, and supporting him would be the best. So I'm going to leave it there, and thanks for listening.